Hey guys, this is Commander Matthew, and before we start this episode of TREKBACK Tuesday, I want to tell you about my Star Trek podcast. Trek Untold is a weekly interview series where we chat with character actors, stunt performers, writers, directors, and behind-the-scenes people who make the Star Trek universe go at warp speed. Our show is about putting the spotlight on folks who aren't normally in the spotlight. It's about the people who have contributed to Star Trek but aren't in the opening credits of the show. You might not know their names or recognize their faces at first, but I guarantee after you hear our discussions with them, you're going to never forget them again. If you're a fan of not only Star Trek history, but also cinema and television, as well as the entertainment industry and all sorts of other things, you're going to really enjoy hearing this podcast. We're not just discussing appearances on TV shows with these actors, we're discussing acting theory, or we're talking to prop makers and behind-the-scenes crew and discussing how things work that we don't ever see on camera. Each episode is a deep dive into the profession of what these folks do, and you're going to really enjoy hearing their stories. You can check it out on whatever Apple device you're using, whether it's a phone or a pad, or you can listen to it on your favorite Android device. If you want to learn more about Trek Untold, make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And it's available on most major podcast platforms, including iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and many more. Check us out this coming Thursday for our latest episode, and until then, fortune favors the bold.
Hi, I'm Captain Andrea.
I'm Commander Matthew.
And welcome to TREKBACK Tuesday.
This is the show that explores time and space to seek out new and old Star Trek merchandise from across the galaxy. And today, well, we got old all right.
Today we went back in time. Very, very far back.
To a time that many Star Trek fans don't remember as fondly as others do.
No, let's go back to that magical year of 1979.
Yes, because today we are looking at, from Mego, Star Trek the Motion Picture action figures.
Words I never thought we'd say.
Yeah, these are interesting figures. They're kind of forgotten today because, I say forgotten in the relative terms, but they're a little bit more forgotten because Playmates and Galoob, they kind of really run that market in Diamond Select, but, we know Mego did their 8-inch figures.
Yeah, we never think about the little ones.
No.
And these are something. I don't know how to describe it. They're just so different than what we're used to.
They really are, but I'm pretty excited for these guys here.
Yeah.
So here's a look at how the packaging looks for these figures. And just so you guys know, we do have 4 of them in box. One of them is off screen at the moment. We have 4 in box and 2 Lucy's. And we're just going to look only at the Starfleet crew today because the aliens, well, we'll get to those.
While there are several, unfortunately, they are very difficult to get a hold of.
But I gotta say about the packaging, though, I like this packaging a lot.
Oh yeah, no, the packaging is fantastic. I miss this kind of art on toy packaging.
Yeah, no, this is like gorgeous looking packaging. I love the illustration. I love how the characters are painted. I love how the ship looks. Yeah. It's completely inaccurate to how the ship really looks.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
Nowhere near that shiny or glossy, but it's still great looking.
It really is.
And here's a look at the back of the packaging, which shows us the 12 characters in this line. So as I mentioned, 6 of them are Starfleet crew members. The other 6 are the aliens. And these are some pretty funky looking aliens that I barely remember even being on screen that much during the movie, like the Betelgeusian and the Arcturian. They are definitely a sign of their times. And one other quick note as well, we wanted to show you guys our Scotty in package because these figures were not necessarily the most well maintained over time. Well, I don't even know if it was actually just damage from them being stored or if it was just time.
Scotty looks as though he just smeared his face all over the bubble.
Yeah, I think he's the one who had the transporter accident this time around. His face and his paint are just everywhere.
Isn't this the second time, or would this be considered the first time he had a transporter accident?
I mean, when hasn't he?
Touche.
But I think this was the first time he was involved in one personally.
Yeah, this one's pretty rough.
He just beamed his mustache everywhere.
Oof. Didn't quite assemble right, yeah. I think given the age of these figures, we're not going to beam them out. They might not be able to handle that. So we're just gonna open them up.
Old school style, the way they would have done it back on Earth.
Ah, the good old days.
Well, I guess let's grab a figure and pop them open.
Yeah.
So it definitely hurts. I can feel a lot of collectors that are probably watching this and thinking yeah. But to be fair, Kirk here is in the best shape. Everybody else's packages are more or less pretty beat up. Actually,
yeah, this is already damaged.
And I got these for a good deal, so I wouldn't have opened them otherwise.
Oh, apparently I already started with that. Oh.
Yeah, we're doing this.
Ooh.
I want to smell Spock.
Oh, that's creepy, but
1979. You gotta smell them. You gotta do the smell test.
Oh, she actually smells good.
It smells like vanilla.
Yeah.
1970s plastic smells like vanilla.
Oh, he just popped right out.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about these toys being sold is they just came right out super easy.
Oh! Scotty just went through hell. Look at the inside of that.
Yeah, I know. It's that's just the paint is just straight melted in there.
No, his face is melted. This is a chunk. I can literally just...
Yeah.
It looks like a dead animal. Poor janky old Scotty.
Yeah, poor janky Scotty. But hey, here's our 6 figures all lined up together, and they do look really good, actually.
Yeah, they look great. Not just for their
Except
age.
for Scotty.
Yeah, but with the exception of Scotty, they look great. Not just for their age, but just as figures in general. The likenesses are pretty decent.
Yeah, you have to keep in mind here, like, we remember Mego mostly as being those, like, 8-inch figures.
Yeah.
But they did have that Pocket Heroes line, and this is, not long after the Kenner Star Wars figures, which is when everybody started going that direction of 3 3/4-inch figures. So this was their attempt at that. And I think these actually hold up pretty well, if not actually maybe a little bit better than the Kenner figures.
I was thinking something similar, too. Yeah.
And I want to talk more about the faces, but I think we got to try and see if we can get that schmutz off Scotty first.
Okay, I'm gonna go in.
Ugh, man, it's like 3-dimensional.
The spot right over here on his face, it looks like it's a bug. Oh, hey, look, it came off pretty easily.
Are you sure it's not a bug from Wrath of Khan?
I'm pretty
Ew.
sure. So there's Scotty.
All cleaned up and looks better.
He definitely looks better, but you can tell that there's discoloration right where the mustache, like, melted off.
Yeah, they all suffer from that pretty much. All the ones that I had here that were in package all suffer from that. But even some of the loose ones I got, I mean, I think McCoy's probably in the best condition I got him in, but the Decker, even he's got a little bit of damage from that. He's clearly been played with, though.
She's not too bad. She's got a little discoloration, but in general, her face is pretty flawless.
Yeah, Elia's not looking too bad there. But yeah, as I was saying about like the Kenner figures, I think in terms of the details here, the details are actually more fine than the Kenner Star Wars were of that same time period.
Absolutely, there's a lot more attention to detail here.
Which is funny to say, because Mego figures were not necessarily the most detailed sculpts when they were doing the 8-inch figures. But
well, I think because they were competing against Star Wars, they realized that they had to up their game, so this was their answer to it.
Yeah.
It's a shame they weren't able to do more, because how great would a next gen or DS9 or Voyager line be? We won't talk Enterprise.
I would have loved to have more figures in this scale actually to really fit in with that, but well, we do have one other line that is close to that scale. But
True.
These are actually really good though, and these are the classic 5 points articulation style figures. They hold up pretty good. I mean,
yeah, I'm still a little obsessed with this Scotty, not just because he's messy, but because I love the detail on his mustache. In general, the eyebrow details. And also, one other really cool thing to notice, the gentlemen here, they do not have painted eyes. They just have peachy eye holes.
yeah, they have eye holes, which is kind of funny.
Well, I'm used to that, but she has bright blue ones.
Yeah, they really made her very, very heavily painted. It's also interesting to note that they went with her Starfleet uniform, not her probe outfit, which she spends most of the movie in. It might have been a cost issue for all I know, having to just make her in a skirt and all that stuff, but they kept her in her actual Starfleet uniform, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I really like this line.
Yeah, these are actually really, really great figures. I put them above the Star Wars figures from Kenner, which I cannot believe I'm saying, because I love those. I really do. Those are like one of my favorite lines of all time, but I think the sculpts here are way better.
Yeah. Weird. Oh my gosh, could you imagine this kind of sculpt with the Kenner line? Like, as Star Wars? Oh.
I mean, this is kind of closer to like what we got from Kenner maybe 5 or 6 years towards, after. Yeah.
I think this is a great addition to any collection, any Star Trek collection.
Yeah.
I mean, they look fantastic.
They really do. Yeah, this is a real hidden gem of Star Trek toys.
Yeah.
Now, as I mentioned, we don't have the aliens in this line. Those aliens are among the hardest to get Star Trek figures out there. I've only seen a few on like eBay, and they go for big bucks. Like, the price I paid for these guys was actually about half of what a single one of those aliens cost.
I would believe that, because looking at the detail work on this, if the aliens have that same kind of quality, then they must look fantastic.
I can't say I've really ever seen the aliens that up close and personal yet. From what I've seen, they're pretty cool. They're pretty unique.
Yeah.
They're just very rare, very hard to get. But yeah, I do want to make just a little fun collector's note here. So you guys saw that 2 of these were loose, 4 of them were in package. So yeah, I got 4 of them for a relatively cheap price. And the McCoy over here, I got from a store for $3 because they had no idea what this was. But I can even beat that, because this Decker I paid about maybe less than $1 for, because they didn't know what it was. Because these things,
crazy.
like, they look so unlike Star Trek toys because they're in the motion picture uniforms, they're in the 3 3/4 scale, and they only had 1 series. So no one really knows that they're Star Trek in most cases. If you don't see the little tiny badge, you're not going to know.
And if you don't recognize the faces.
Exactly, yeah. So I found some good deals in these, surprisingly loose.
Congratulations on that. That's fantastic.
So that's our look at the Star Trek The Motion Picture action figures from Mego from 1979.
Considering their age, they held up very well.
They really did. I bet if someone stored them better, then they wouldn't have as much of the issues as some of these guys did. But yeah, case in point, even these 2 that I had loose previously, those held up a little bit better. Yeah. So I think if they're stored in the right conditions, you won't have that kind of problem as much. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they're colorful. They're really well sculpted. Really great retro figures. It's really easy to get lost in the detail. And again, when you consider the age and the era these figures came out of, detail wasn't really a big thing they were doing, but there's actually like folds in their clothing. On their sleeves, they have all the different denotations of what their ranks are. I mean, the belt buckles are sculpted. Their pants have some actual fabric folds in them. There's a lot in these guys. Even the hair, especially Kirk's hair, really any of their figures' hair, like there's a lot of heavy sculpting in that.
Yeah,
a lot of line work.
I'm looking at Spock's hair right now. His face is interesting because I can see the lines in his eyes and around his mouth. He kind of reminds me a little bit more of Sarek, but yeah.
I'd love to know who sculpted this and what the original 2-Up heads looked like. I want to see all the details in those original ones because these clearly had a lot of work put into them. I feel like any Star Trek collector will be happy to add these to their collection.
And with that, I'm Captain Andrea.
I'm Commander Matthew. And until next time, live long and buy toys.